That's what happened. He made it, but his left leg was significantly smaller and about half the size in terms of width and so forth. It hadn't grown at all. His shoe size was 7 on that foot and 9.5 on the other. So he always had to buy 2 pairs of shoes and do all kinds of other things to try to. So he finally got back to school. He wore braces on his legs for multiple years after that. So he's wearing braces going to school just as they tried to get his legs to work again. He got them working again, obviously, and he was so wanting to be an athlete that he just ignored that. And he kept working, and on the basketball team in his high school, he was the center, which is the big person. Now, he wasn't even 5'11" maybe, but people were a little shorter back then. But the real reason he was the center was, back in those days, so he's in high school in the early 40s, right? When you made a basket, you had a jump ball every single time, right? So you jump the ball up and you tip it, and whoever got it, and so every single time a basket was made, it wasn't taken out of bounds, it was a jump ball. Because his other leg was so strong, trying to compensate for the bad leg, he could jump higher than anybody. So he was the center, and he would jump and tip the ball to his team, and his team had an incredible record. Wow. Because of that, because the other team literally wouldn't get the ball very often. Right? They'd make a basket, tip it back to their team, they'd keep the ball again, keep the ball again, keep the ball again, that kind of stuff. When he took up bowling, it wasn't because he was good at it, it was because it was the worst thing that he did sports-wise. So he and his buddies, his little clan of buddies, would go out and play all kinds of sports, right? And they're in California, the weather is good, so all the outdoor sports. So you name all the sports, pool and indoor. Shoot pool, play ping pong, golf, anything. He won every single one of them. So he was the best athlete of his game. Then they went to the bowling alley. One of them said, let's go to the bowling alley, and he got stomped. And it bothered him so much that he got a job at the bowling alley as a pin setter so that he could then bowl for free when he wanted to, and he practiced, secretly for several months, brought him back in and stomped them all. And that started sort of his love of bowling. It wasn't because he was good at it, it was because he was bad at it that he kind of did it. When he was in his senior year of high school, his birthday was the 19th of December, which coincidentally, as Anna reminded me a little bit ago, I mean not reminded me, but she was going to say it and forgot. He told me when he found out that Anna was pregnant with what turned out to be Chelsea, he said, when's she due? And I said, I think it was December 27th or whatever. He said, have it on the 19th. Have it on my birthday. Well, lo and behold, Chelsea was born on December 19th, 1990, yeah, with him there. So on December 19th, 1943, he quit high school and joined the military because the war was going on. And he became a pilot. And Army Air Corps in those days, no Air Force, Army Air Corps. Became a pilot. And of course that's what he wanted to do, right? Fly the planes, do all that stuff. I mean, he just loved that. And he would tell me stories about that. And one of the stories he would tell me was he and his buddy would try to figure out who was the best pilot of their class. They figured they were the 2 best, but they would try to show who was best. And they would go out together, and once they got out from where people could see them, they would do all kinds of crazy stunts to see who was the best. The one that I heard about that I went, you really did this? Seriously, Dad? Was they would fly under telephone wires. So the telephone, which is not any higher, telephone wire, not any higher than the ceiling. In those planes of those days, they would fly under them, close to the ground, under them, and loop back and do it the other way. So you could do it the fastest and all that as a way to prove who was the best pilot. Wow. He had a little bit of a daredevil streak. A little bit of a daredevil streak. After the war, he got out and he started getting into bowling more seriously, and he won some significant tournaments. The Masters was probably the most significant. So the Masters in bowling is just like the Masters in golf. It's major. It's the best bowler. The person who wins that's typically the best bowler. In 1954, he won the Masters tournament. He was the first one to win it in an undefeated way. In our Masters, there's match play at the end, individual, you know, you go down in a step ladder kind of format. He's the first one to win it without ever losing a match. Matches are 3 or 4 game matches, depending on which round it is and so forth. First one to ever do it. He also won 2 cars on TV. He was on with Milton Berle, who had a show called, Milton's show was King of the Hill, I think, and then there was also jackpot bowling. So they were, bowling at that time was very popular, and they would have nighttime TV shows, and there would be cash prizes, and King of the Hill was who could get the most strikes, and jackpot bowling, all these kind of different things. And he won a lot of money on those shows, was on TV all the time, and brought home 2 cars. The only one I remember that he went out after I was born was a Peugeot. A Peugeot. I guess they were trying to get the word out into the U.S. Brought home this brand new Peugeot, which he was very, very proud of. The